So today's episode is a little different. We are talking about domestic violence awareness. Now, I know it's a heavy topic, but we're going to handle it with honesty, love, and a little bit of light in between. Because these conversations matter. They save lives, they let people know that they're not alone, and they remind us that healing is definitely possible. Today, I'm going to have Naisha with me, of course, and two amazing guests that are brave enough to share their stories. Some of us have been out of it for years and have found strength, while others may still be fresh on their journey of leaving. Whether you're in the process, listening, leaving, or healing, we hope that this episode feels like a safe space for you. So, let's get into it. These are our brave ladies that are joining us today. We have Noelle, say hi, and we have Caro with us today. So I just want to start off with some quick icebreakers. Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
100 duck-sized horses.
Same.
Same. Naisha, you?
Same.
Same.
What size
I
do?
would too.
But like
Okay.
the regular size.
Yeah.
They-
Them damn,
they
have you
follow
seen,
me.
like, been around those geese?
Yeah,
Those
they're
geese are, like, insane. They're
violent.
scary as hell.
Nothing.
All right, a dance battle or karaoke battle?
Karaoke battle.
Everybody, yeah, karaoke.
Yeah.
I might do a
Yeah.
dance battle because, you know, my little twinkle toes. Get stuck in the elevator with your ex or with your
you just
boss.
ask, you're like, no.
Boss.
Girl.
Your boss. I agree. So today we do want to talk about all sides of abuse, like physical, emotional, mental, and verbal. Sometimes it's the bruises people see. Sometimes it's the scars nobody sees. But it all matters. I'm going to start it off with a little bit of my story because unfortunately I did witness it as a kid. And those were things that I always said, I'm never going to go through that. Like, I can't. Like, why don't you just leave? Like, I don't get it. So then I ended up getting into a relationship. And I remember the first night something happened. We went out. He started drinking. We got back to the house and he pushed me. And my little self, I'm tiny, but I'm like, I got pissed. I was like, how you put your hands on me? So I punched him and he picked me up and pushed me like harder, like threw me against the wall, basically. I ended up calling my sister. Didn't want to speak to anybody else because I was a little bit embarrassed by it. My sister came and he left. I kicked him out my house. Maybe about a day or two passed and, you know, he calls me and he says he would never do it again. And honestly, I started to make excuses for it because I was like, well, he just pushed me and I punched him, you know? And on top of that, we have a kid together. So I want to work it out for my family. Things were fine, as they usually are. Few months passed and it happened again. And it was way worse this time. And at that moment, I was like, I felt like God was talking to me and telling me, does this man have to knock you off, basically, for you to realize that you have to leave? I just packed up my stuff and I was like, I'm breaking this generational curse. I don't want my kids to see what I saw as a kid, and that's traumatizing. So thankfully, with help with family, because it took me a little bit to tell family that this happened, because again, I was embarrassed. I always said I would never go through it, and I did. And it was a few times, little things here and there, but it took that one big one for me to realize I need to go. So it's a little bit of my story. Naisha, have you ever dealt with anything in that type of sense?
No, I've never dealt with physical abuse. I've never even,
Mhm.
I've never witnessed it in my family. But I dealt with like mental abuse, and it's really tough to go through because at the time it's a mind fuck. Like at the time you're going through it, you're like, am I crazy? Is this really happening? Like, am I really acting this way? Or is this person gaslighting me? Are they just telling me this? And then it is embarrassing to speak to other people about. And then when you do speak to other people, sometimes they don't validate your feelings and you don't have any proof. Like, you got a bruise, you got a busted lip, like, he hit me. I got something to show you. But when it's mental abuse, it's just like you're not sure what reality is sometimes. Like, did this really happen? Like, did I do this? Because sometimes it was like, oh, you were staring at those guys at the park. And I'm like, no, I wasn't. I was pushing my kid on the swing. And it's like, no, you were flirting from a distance with those guys. And I'm like, was I? Like, am I crazy? I was focused on my kid. I was pushing my kid on the swing. I was playing with my kid at the park. And you're making me seem like I'm a whore. Like everywhere I go, I'm flirting, making googly eyes at men. It was always these insecurities that would come up and be projected on me. And it did. It made me feel like I was going crazy sometimes.
When did you first realize you were in an abusive situation?
For me, I would say like I didn't honestly notice it right away. And again, like you guys said, you start making excuses for it and questioning yourself if that even happened. So at first, I didn't recognize it right away. The signs and the red flags, I saw them as yellow or whatever. I ignored it. Even like, my sister mentioning, "Hey, I saw this, I saw that." And it's like, did you really? So I started making excuses for him. I started seeing a pattern of like, I like to take mental notes for myself because I've been already through a lot. So when I'm in a relationship, I start the red flags or the little yellow flags. I start writing it down just to see like maybe I'm not crazy. And it was a pattern. And eventually I'm like, the last line, the where I drew the line was where it got, like the last thing that happened. It was just really bad. And I'm like, okay, so once the pattern started is when I realized, that something's wrong.
For me, I would say it definitely took a while. It's not right away that it just happens. And I truly was with a narcissist like through and through. And this narcissist wore a mask for the beginning of our relationship. It was a mask. I would have sworn up and down that you never like touch me, like you never do anything. At the end of the day, we love each other, and I would brush off our, like, fights and, like, our disagreements, etcetera, as just, "Oh, like, we really love each other. We gotta make it work. We gotta just figure it out, and I have to, fight for this if I really want this." And it's so interesting because when I look back, I cannot think of a single friend that was in favor of my relationship. Like, they all, from a mile away, were like, "This man is not for you." And at that time, there was nothing physical happening. It's just simply they could just see it. The way that he moved, the way it was, like, they just saw right through him. And for me, like, it wasn't until my first experience with physical abuse,
Mhm.
which was when I was already with him for, I think, almost 2 years at that point, and got pregnant and moved to Georgia to live with him. And at that point, I think I was a few months pregnant and I got, like, pushed. And I was like, "What the fuck? This has never
Mhm.
happened. You've never touched me before. And we've gotten into horrible fights. So this is crazy. Like, you've pushed me to the point where I was ready to snap." Like, where we've
Yeah.
been like, the mental abuse, it was happening 100%
Mhm.
psychological, that was there. For the physical, like, that the first time that I got, like, pushed, I was pregnant.
One thing I picked up on what both of you said is that, Noelle, you had your sister say something, and Cara, you had friends say something. So it's like
Then my sister. Yep,
mhm.
everyone.
Yeah. Sometimes even when other people see it, you're so blinded and love and this, you don't see it.
Anything with my
So it's
You make
crazy.
excuses for it.
Mhm. You
Mhm. One thing I heard several times was, "Every time we see you, your light gets dimmer and dimmer." That's
mm,
what I would hear so often, and that kind of broke me, but I also was like, "No, like, everything's fine." So even without them knowing situations, because obviously I didn't wanna tell them everything, I was embarrassed
mhm.
about it, they could just see from my face when they would see me again. I heard that all the time, that my light was just dimming,
Yeah.
and that crushed me to hear, but I don't just made excuses for it.
Yeah, I had something similar. I mean, my friends, they did say something like that, like, but they told me after the fact, like, you were not yourself when you were with that person. And I experienced something similar from someone that didn't even know me. So I was pregnant at the time and I went to go visit my sister and her neighbor from upstairs. Once I left, he ended up sending her a message and he's like, "I don't know what's going on with your sister, but you could tell she's going through something very hard. And just let her know that, like, God is with her and she will see it through."
Yeah, it
Like, a
shows. Like,
stranger can see that, it's crazy.
it is. It's crazy.
any warnings, like, from friends or family in your situation?
My sisters, yeah.
They could see it.
There was one time, it was my birthday, I was pregnant, and my family wanted to do a beach day, and again, estaba tomando, he was drinking, and he pushed me pregnant, I was big pregnant, in front of my cousin, and my cousin was like, "Hey." I was like, "It's okay." I was like, "I got it." Like, I had to calm him down, like, "It's okay, what," and I ended up I'm like, "I'm just gonna take him home because we were planning to go to dinner after. So, yeah, my family ended up seeing it, but then it was like a mask because once the baby was born, he was, like, amazing. When I say amazing, I changed maybe in the beginning because I had a C-section, I changed maybe, like, 3 diapers. Judge me if you want, but he was that type of father and that type of partner at that time, he was amazing. And, I mean, I know he was going through his own things, and I get it, but that's still not an excuse to do what you did, you know? So, yeah, my family did notice. I was gonna say, so, okay, what made you stay at first? And what were the things that made it hard to leave?
Illusion.
Yeah, that's
I was like in
honest.
love. I was like hard eyes. I fell in love with the narcissist. Like he learned everything about me, fell in love with the character he created. I just head over heels.
I love that answer because it's so honest. It really is delusion. It really is.
I'm not embarrassed to say that because that's part of
Mhm.
my story, but that's the fact. It's delusion. And there's
Yeah.
nothing anybody could have said to me and during that time that would have made me see or realize that that was all like fake. There's
Mhm.
nothing anybody could have told me. Nothing. I firmly believe that that was for me, and I'm very headstrong, so I was like, "Okay, we have to make this work.
Mhm.
This is my life partner, like, I'm in love."
I would say it was the same, and not only that, it's not wanting a broken family. I've
Mhm.
had that experience. I've had the broken family. I didn't want a broken family. And then the little breadcrumbs and the little things that they feed you and delusion, the hopes and dreams that they've mentioned, it made me want to stay.
Yeah, I was the same. Again, the little excuse because at first it was small. It was a little push, and then I was like, "Well, I was aggressive. I punched, and I have a kid. So let's try that." But it makes no sense to try. Naisha, I know you dealt with like the mental. Was there a point in time that you started to realize like he's really mentally abusing me?
No, because I know that I've dealt with trauma before him, and I know that there was some therapy that I needed to go through, and there was some growth and learning that I needed to go through individually before him. And I shared those things with him. I shared very intimate parts of me with him and told him so many things about me that I might not share with anyone. And he used them against me, and he flipped the script on me. And so at that time, I'm like, okay, maybe I am mental. Maybe I do have these issues because of the issues that have transpired in my family before him. Because I could identify them and I could say, hey, I think I need some therapy because I went through this with my father. Or I think I feel like I need to talk to somebody about my relationship with my mom or the things I went through as a teenager. So I could identify those things and I could tell you that I felt like I needed help there, but I wasn't getting it. And I shared those things with him. And then he flipped them on me and was like, yeah, you're crazy because this happened to you. And you're crazy because your mom did this. And I'm like, oh my God, I am crazy. I'm the problem. I'm the crazy one. I'm the one that's causing this. Yeah, like he's this perfect guy. And he was pedestalized by everyone because he was an athlete and he was a church boy and he had the Southern charm. I mean, he could sell water to a whale. Like he had people eating out of his hands. So, and I'm this loud, crazy girl all the time. So that's my character. That's who I am. I'm loud. I can be obnoxious. I can be inconsiderate. I know my flaws and I know the things that I needed to work on. And I was really young. I was 24 years old when I got married. Like, but yeah, I didn't know until I separated. And it's like when I separated, I took rose-colored glasses off and I saw like a flash of the entire 12 years of my marriage and saw every time he played me mentally. And now I see them in everybody. Now I'm like, oh, red flag. It's like highlight, like aura. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh no, I can't deal with you right away.
Mhm.
People give me the ick so
Mhm.
quick.
I think just adding on to what you were saying with the psychological, like, warfare against you, using everything they know against you,
Mhm.
that is so real. For me, that was worse than any physical abuse that I endured. It really was because it just breaks down everything in you. And you
Yeah.
really, okay, really just don't even know who you are. Like you
It's
lose,
true. Sorry. It's true.
you lose,
I'm agreeing.
you lose.
Love it.
It's
Yeah.
so, but it's true. I really feel like the psychological that I endured was just, it doesn't come close to the physical. Like it was
Mhm.
just, it broke down every single part of me. Like beat my ass and had me thinking I needed to go to anger management.
It was your
Like,
fault.
that's
Yeah.
how bad it was. Like,
Everything was
I'm the one who's thinking like I'm at fault.
What?
Like, maybe I did too much and I caused him to be whatever. It's my fault. Like oh no,
you
even worse,
provoked it.
postpartum, being crazy because I just had a baby. So he, poor thing, is having to deal with me like this. Yo, what? I believe that. I'm over here signing up for anger management classes and trying to get us in therapy together to make our relationship work. But that's what I believed. And I firmly
Mhm.
believed I was doing the right thing. Again, keep my
Yeah.
family together. At that point, I had my baby. We were married. We owned a home together, a beautiful home. And I was like, we need to make this work. This kind of segues into your next question. Things that made it hard for it to leave. Financial
Yeah, go ahead.
stability. That was my partner. I built a life with him on top of like not wanting the broken family. It's like, I have to make this work. This is the life I created. We have to we own a home together now. Like, she's 1. We can't just break up now. We have to give her everything. And also, that person makes you feel so small. You don't think you're capable of doing it on your own. Like, I was like, "There's no way I could be on my own. Are you kidding? Like, I can't leave. Who's gonna help?" How just all those doubts, all that uncertainty, like, that right there is what made it so hard to leave because
Mhm.
I was already crushed from this person just breaking me down as a person, and like all my confidence is already gone. And on top of that, do start thinking about financial stability and how you were going to continue like raising your kid and your family and on your own. What do you mean? What are people going to think? What are the society, like you start having all those thoughts. So you
Mhm.
really pour yourself into every resource you can exhaust to trying to make it work until you realize that there is nothing you are going to say or do, nothing that will make that person change. And you look in your mirror and you realize who the fuck you are and you get the fuck out. Like, that's
Mhm.
really the start of it.
I know you said that it was not wanting that broken family because that was my reason. That's what it was hard for me to leave. But was there anything else for you?
The same, honestly, a shared responsibility, the guilt, the emotional ties that you have with that person, and the fear of starting over. Like, I don't
Oh,
got time for that.
you're starting over. It's
Yep,
tough.
that part.
Yeah.
That part.
Yeah. It was so cliche, and I was like, "You could have come up with something better than this to say," but he was like, "Nobody's gonna want you with the kid." I'm like, "Are you serious?" But, at a point there was a
You
point that
start to
I
believe it.
believed it.
Yeah.
100%.
I have a kid and this, what am I gonna do? And my living situation at the time, because I had to leave, and it was I started to believe that. But man, you know how many people love me? Let me stop. Just no.
Bro, it's
It
all
is.
lies. It's all
Mhm.
lies.
It's
Like,
all
I
lies.
my man would die for me right now. No. But it's
Yeah.
lies. You're fed these lies. Like, no one's ever gonna, if they do, they're just gonna wanna use you. Like, the way I'm loved and treated right now, I've never been treated that way, that well in my entire life, in
Mhm.
any relationship I've been in. And I have a whole ass kid. Like, so everything you're seeing to me was a lie. It was bullshit. Like, you were just
Yeah.
trying to hold me back.
It's a
Yeah.
fear that
Tried
they
it.
have on
Mhm.
themselves.
Yeah, insecurity.
Yeah. Yeah, they
Mhm.
project their insecurities on you. For me, it was just I grew up without a dad. Before I had kids, so I was married for 12 years. There was a turning point for me within the 3-year mark of my marriage, but it wasn't him. It was our lifestyle due to his career that made me feel inadequate. And I'm like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. But it wasn't him. Had our circumstances been different, I still would have chosen him. But I realized that I couldn't be who I needed to be within this marriage based on his career. And I wouldn't stop somebody from following their dreams and their career. So I had a real conversation with him and I was like, "Hey, I don't think this is going to work, but I want you to continue following your dreams and do what you got to do. And then I'm going to do me. I'll stay and cuz we had to travel for his job, I'll stay stateside and I'll figure myself out and then maybe we could come together once we've grown as individuals. But together I'm having a hard time like filling this role in your life." And he was like, "You're wilding. You're crazy. We exchanged vows, we're committed to each other. Your whole life, all you've done is give up on everything, and now you're gonna give up on your marriage." And I'm like, let me pack my bags and go on a guilt trip because this terrible person that gives up on everything. And there was some validity to it. There was some facts because I've given him information in other circumstances that I've given up. I'm gonna go get my bartender's license. And I worked as a bartender for a month and then stopped. I got my mortgage broker's license. I did that for like less than a year and I stopped. So there was a lot of things in my life that I gave up on. And he used that as ammunition to tell me that I was wrong to want to focus on myself because I couldn't be committed to him the way he needed me to based on his career. And that should have been the time I should have left. But I ended up staying. And that's really when it started, like when the whole like mental breakdown started. And then I had my
Mhm.
son and it continued to happen. And now it was like I was in a glass house and I couldn't tell anybody because everyone thought he was so great. And I thought I was crazy anyway. So why would I tell anybody? Because I'm the one with the problem. So the few
Yeah.
people that I did speak to, everyone wants you to work your marriage out. Like my excuse always was like, he doesn't abuse me. He doesn't hit me. So I'm not getting
Mhm.
physically injured by him. There's no domestic violence and he doesn't cheat on me. So he's a good man, Savannah. Like, stick it through. Like, figure
He's
it
a
out.
good man, Savannah.
Figure that shit out. Like, he's not, like, you'll make it work. Everything else you can work through. He doesn't hit you. He doesn't cheat on you. Like, if I go to somebody and tell them I'm just unhappy in my relationship, I feel unfulfilled, that's what they're gonna tell me. Figure it out. Marriage
Mhm.
counseling, do this, do that. But if the other person's not willing to change and work on themselves, it's a dead end.
Yeah.
When was the point that you were like, I cannot take this anymore and I need to get out of this? Like, what was the situation, the words, what happened that gave you the ammunition to step out and leave that relationship?
So for me, after my daughter was born, that is when the physical abuse was happening. I went to the ER at times and it was crazy time. Crazy
Mhm.
is, I don't even know if it's the right word to use. But that's when things were really just the roughest. And when I tell you I was back and forth on the plane with this baby, like during COVID, and I would go back and try to make it work. And during that 1 year of her life, that's when I really was going through it the worst and trying to figure out what to do. It was like right after her first birthday, and we had a really big party at the house.
Mhm.
And a lot of my family flew down from Boston and his family was there. And then the thing that kind of just set it over was me having to deal with his family and how badly they were treating me at the party. And then after the party, the worst incident that happened was getting hit in the face by him and having to go to the ER, getting my face stitched up. I have like a permanent scar. We went to the hospital. I was like hysterical. I still didn't say that it was him. I said like a door hit me. Like I was still trying to like make stuff up.
Mhm.
And he was stone cold, like, he was like, "Why would you say that? That still sounds like I abused you." "You didn't abuse me, what the fuck?" Like, but at the time, I'm so delusional.
Mhm.
And fortunately, my baby who had just turned 1, she was with my parents, and the plan was for me to go get her for Thanksgiving. So, they just wanted extended time with her. So, thankfully, it was just us, and I didn't have to, on top of that, be a parent and with a baby. But
Yeah.
after that happened, that's when I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm all the way the set." Because it wasn't just the incident, it was also how I was treated after, like, it was my fault. It's almost like that's what snapped me out of like, "Oh,
Mhm.
shit, okay, cool." I
Like,
was like,
what the hell are you doing, girl? Like, you had that moment. What are you doing?
even when we talked about it a few times after, like, the reaction was so cold, like, that's when I really realized, like, this person's gonna keep hurting you and trying to get you to think it's your fault.
Mhm.
Like, I remember towards the end too, one of the last nights I slept in the house with him, he, like, held a loaded to me, like, he just held it in front of me, and I'm over here like, You're tapped." Like, we weren't even it wasn't even nothing happening between us, he just did it just to do it.
Mhm.
I locked the front door of my house, and this big ass bursted off the hinges. Like, do you know how strong it had to be to knock down
Yeah.
the front door of a house that's locked?
Mhm.
Like, this door was, like, timber. I was like,
Not
"Okay,
timber.
cool. So I can't sleep here ever again." And that's when
Yeah.
I really just packed my stuff. The next day I was gone. That was it. I left my house that I owned, everything. I didn't look back. I came back, I think a few weeks later with my dad just to get a few more things.
Mhm.
But after that, that's when I left and I never looked back. Never.
Yeah. One thing that stuck out, you said that his family was, like, mean to you? Or, like, because you never know what they tell
Yeah,
them.
they were the only people I would tell about these things happening, because when I tried to tell, my parents, and it just like, especially his mom, she'd be like, "Look, you're making this so messy. Why are you spilling your business? Like, you're supposed to be making your marriage work and blah, blah, blah." And one of the times that he really hurt me, I was like covered in bruises. Like, this man broke my ribs. And I was like, "You don't want me to call my parents. You make me feel like shit if I try to call the police because you're like, this is a black man in Georgia. Call police on blah blah blah." Like, and I was like, "Damn, like, you're right. Like, I can't do that. Like, and you just don't call your parents. Like, you're trying to involve your parents in everything." Like, so I was like, "Okay, cool. I'm calling you, and you don't want to help me either. Like, I can't even hold my kid right now. My ribcage is broken. Like, you need to come get the baby at least and come talk to your son, or else I am gonna call the police." And then they came over and she saw me with my bruises and she was just like, "You're gonna tell your mom, aren't you?" I was like, "I mean, I don't want to," but she's like, "Tell your mom that's from rough sex." I will never forget her telling me that. She told me to tell my mom that those bruises are from rough sex. That's what she said.
See, I would have caught a case right there.
But I was so manipulated and so, like, I was just like, I didn't really have anything to say. And anytime I tried to, like, cry out to them, they started getting like annoyed, I guess, and started making me feel like it was my fault. Like, why are you staying with him? Why are you staying? It's your choice, blah, blah, blah. I remember one of his sisters one time heard everything that happened. And she's like, yeah, you got to leave because your daughter's going to be an orphan because you're going to be 6 feet under and my brother's going to be in jail for life. Like, you got to leave. Yeah, you're right. But he would twist everything. Every time I would talk about what would happen, when he gave his version, he was like, it wasn't even like that. Like,
Mhm.
she did this and da, da, da. And then kind of like what Naisha was saying earlier, like his family just enabled his behavior. Just like, oh,
Mhm.
like the son of the family, he just had a pass, I guess. I remember his mom yelling one time at him, like, I told you never hit women. I told him that. It's like, okay, that's the
That's it.
the punish. That's what.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, you did the stellar job as a parent. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
because I dealt with an athlete, football, and it
Same.
was the same thing. This is who you raised,
Oh yeah.
basically, like
My turning point was when we had several instances or altercations before I was pregnant. And I even told him, like, oh, I don't want to be going through this while I'm pregnant. And he left me with bruises in those other altercations. And I'm like, I don't want to experience this while I'm pregnant. I don't want to raise a child in this environment, X, Y, and Z. And then, a few months pass of him being okay, or like it was just verbal stuff, not really physical, anything. And then I was 6, 7 months pregnant when it happened. And I can't go into specific details because there is an open case. But
yeah, that's
after
fine.
that incident, I was like on bed rest. I chose to be on bed rest because not doctors ordered, but I was physically in pain, like if I was ran over by like a semi truck. I'm 100 pounds wet. He's 200 pounds, a little over 200 pounds at the time, I believe. And I was not okay. I had to get the baby checked because I was having Braxton Hicks. That was my turning point. I'm not gonna have a baby being raised in this environment.
So while you were talking, it made me think about my turning point because I know I said earlier too that my turning point was when like we had that big issue. But honestly, you know how we've said before, like you can't really judge someone because sometimes they go back. I didn't fully go back, but I kind of did. That last incident was like really traumatizing. A little bit more in detail on it. He locked me and the baby in the closet for 3 hours. He had a hammer. He said that he was gonna, all of us it was very traumatizing. So I was not around him for a while. And then, we still kind of had to speak a little bit because we had the baby, but he left. He was training. See, the season hadn't started. And he was gone for a few months. And then when he came back, I noticed that, he seemed healthier. He was like more like sane, I guess you can say. And the mask, pretty much. And then I remember when I was around him, because at first I didn't want to be around him by myself. I was like, I don't want to. I was always around him and like someone else, the family. A few months later after that. And then he was like, I want to take you out for Mother's Day. Like, can you? And at that point, because like a few months had passed, I was like, you know what? Maybe he looks healthy. He seems like he's stable. Let me just try. So I told him, I said, we can go, but no drinking. You cannot drink. And he was like, no, no, no. Okay. So you know how they get like all happy and everybody. Yeah, I want to do it. Okay. So when we met up, he was already drinking. He had 2 beers and he was like, no, 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 but I'm not going to drink anymore. And I was like, are you serious? Whatever. We went to dinner. He had water and he kept going to the bathroom. So I was like, okay, he's probably peeing it out, whatever. And he seemed fine. And we were having a good night. Like we did have a good time. So he was like, do you want to keep the night going? And I was like, you know what? Fine. We ended up going to a club and few people knew him from there. So this one guy, I guess the promoter gave him a bottle. And I looked at him like, he's like, no, 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 I'm going to give it to the boys. I said, fine. Run it the whole night. He started drinking. And I was just like, whatever. I was upset. And finally, like I could see that he was already like belligerent. And I'm like, I need to go. We need to go. And I'm walking out and he like bumps really hard to this huge, like he looked like a 300-pound huge man, like 6'5" man. The guy was about to fight him. And my little 5'1" self got in the middle and I looked at the guy and I was like, please, he's drunk. Just please, like pleading with this man. I don't know what it was, but that man was like, because of you, I'm not going to do anything. I left him and he ended up finally running after me, getting in the car. I dropped him off at his godmom's house and I was just like, I'm done. Like, really, this man has to do real big harm. Like, he did already. But again, Vanessa, like, come on. This has to be it. Even to the next day, his godmom was like, he slept in the car. He didn't even come in the house. I was like, that's how drunk he was. And he called me and he was like, why'd you leave? What's wrong with you? Like, you do not remember everything you did? Like, you almost got into, I had to get in the middle. Like, he was just oblivious to everything. I was like, you know what? All right, you got it. I was like, I'm done. After that, that was my real, like, I'm done. It wasn't anything physical that happened, but it was just like showing, like, he's not gonna change. He was drunk. Like, he's not gonna change.
There's a pattern just between your situation is like these men think they have a hold on you once you get pregnant.
Mhm.
Like once you have a
Yep.
baby, it's like, oh, now I got a trap. So now I'm going to go hard because it seems like that's when it really escalated once you guys had a baby together, once you were pregnant. Both of you had similar patterns there with these men.
I feel like that's when it shifted and the energy towards me was like, I own you now.
Hmm.
Mhm.
That's when it changed. Like, we had gotten legally married and we had the baby and we
Mm.
had a house. At that point, the energy completely changed. It was like I was his property, and that's how I was treated. And sometimes, it was good, sometimes it was bad, like, it was but at the end of the day, I was his property, and that was that. I couldn't do anything for myself anymore. Like, I just wasn't my own person.
Yeah, that sucks.
I think in these relationships, you hold on to the good times and you
Mhm.
focus and hone in on those. And you're like, okay, we've had a few bad times, but we've had such good times. Like, we can get back to those good times. Like, let me try to just get over these bad times so we can get back to the good. And you love this person. So you still want to protect them. You want to protect their image. You're embarrassed.
100%.
So it's just this like needle of emotions because you're embarrassed for yourself, you're embarrassed for them, you want to protect them, you don't want people to view them in this light, and then you're not 100% sure. You don't want to tell people about this person, and now they see them in this light, and you end up staying with them. And then
Yeah.
the children always hold a very heavy weight on us when making decisions to
Mhm.
leave your partner.
For me to really close that door too, because statistically, it's like, how many times do people try to leave and come back? After that last incident, and I left, and I said, like, I'm done. I tried to see if the co-parenting would work, and once I saw that that abuse was just going to continue and it was just targeted against me, I got a restraining order, and that's
Mhm.
really when the contact stopped. At that point, when I really started to be able to even heal and move forward, and it's like I was detoxing my body from all of that. Like, I just stopped contact, like, really just stopped contact, and because of the physical abuse that was there, I was able to get the full-blown restraining order and the contact no contact with me and my child, and move forward with just, just us 2, and you're just literally cut out of our lives. That's when it stopped for me. That's when I was able to start moving forward and start healing and never look back. Really just never look back, just look forward.
Mhm.
I love you, like, I want this, you're the person for me, and what happened wasn't acknowledged or taken accountability for, but, like, it's like a very indirect way that they try to, like, make it seem like an apology, but it's not.
Mhm.
It's like, "But look at us together happy, and I wanna do all these things with you in the future, and blah, 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 and, like, you know how much I love you," but it was never really, like, you're not acknowledging or actually apologizing or trying to change anything. Seeing through that is really hard, like, 'cause it's everything you wanna hear, and it's everything you want, and you want your family, you want everything to work. You wish that person you fell in love with actually existed, and then for an
Yeah.
instance, they show you that version of themselves, and that's when you have to, like, really just be strong and
Mhm.
recognize that this is false, and rip that delusion out of yourself, like,
Yep,
you're
they
like,
do
"This
that to
isn't real!" Like,
yep,
"Wake
to reel you
up!"
back in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Helped you in the process of leaving or after you left? Did you have support systems? Did you go to therapy? Was it your family, your friends? Did you go to church? Like, what were the things that helped you get to where you are today and help you get out of that? That maybe other women that are listening to this show, this podcast, can get some ideas of what that looks like after or what the process looks like. Like, what did that look like for you?
Friends like you, for one.
I didn't
Look
want
at
her as a
that.
friend either.
Oh, she did not.
And
She's
let
like, "What the
let
hell?"
me and I
She's like, "I already got my problems, like,
that's
what do
my
I
baby,
do?"
but I was going through my shit in my relationship. I wasn't divorced yet, but my relationship was very heavy. So when I met her at the gym, and she's also a transplant to Georgia. I moved to Georgia. She's not from Georgia. She's been there. She has a baby. I have kids, and I'm like, oh, we have so much in common. She's Brazilian. I'm Dominican. Hit it off really good. And then when she tells me the depths of her relationship, and she didn't tell me about the abuse, she told me about the mental abuse. And I'm like, oh my God, I go through that too. Like, don't get 12 years in like me. Like, I'm 12 years in, and now, like, I feel like I've wasted all this time. And she was maybe 3 years in, right? And I'm like, "Yeah, you
Mhm.
guys gotta figure that out or you gotta go." But I'm like, "I don't wanna be involved. I have my own problems and my own issues." And then she told me, like, one situation about the physical, and I'm like, "Alright, I'm not calling her." I stopped seeing her at the gym. That's what happened when you broke your foot. And I knew she was lying. I'm like, "Why haven't you been at the gym?" She's like, "Oh, I broke my foot. I fell down the stairs." And she's clumsy, so it's easy to believe somebody like, But I'm like, I just didn't buy it. And then she was like, "Well, we were arguing and I fell." And I'm like, But I'm like, okay, I still don't know her. I've known this girl for maybe a month. And I'm like, I'm not getting involved. And I just had this weight on me that every time she called me, I had to answer because I'm like, what if he kills her and I didn't answer her call? What if he really like hurts this girl and I didn't answer her call and I'm the only person that she's calling here in Georgia because she doesn't have anybody? So I used to answer that phone like, yes, what? My God. Because I didn't want to take somebody else's shit on. And now that's my baby. That's my sister.
I already got problems. I can't meet someone,
Damn.
and I meet someone to
Yes,
work
Send me
with.
both
your
of you.
no.
I love you.
I can't.
But it's true. But honestly, it was for me, it was having not just my family is my rock and was like through it every step of the way, but just having friends that I literally never gave up on me and reminded me of my worth. And I would say this, and I even like kind of get a little emotional when I say this, but if it's one thing when I was going through it, and even when it was the worst, this man tried to take everything from me. And certain times made me feel broken down to the point where that was the case. But one thing he could never take away from me was how loved I was. Never. Like you could do whatever you want to me, it will not change. And it might mess me up and but it will still won't change how loved I am. I have people in my life that will never give up on me. And there's nothing you can do that will change that. And I carry that with me every step. I never lost sight of that. And that was one thing that really helped me when I started to want to leave and just remembering like I got people here for me, like
Mhm.
in every corner. And that's what it was when I started to find myself again. Therapy, oh my gosh, I had the best therapist. I still email her, like, every few months. I'll just send her pictures. I love her, like, oh my gosh, like, I mean, like, I don't know, we can't really be, like, besties or therapists because it's not really appropriate, but, like, I'm obsessed with my therapist, like, obsessed with her. But also for me, it was faith. Faith was a big part of it. That's when I really felt reconnected with my faith again. I'm Christian. I remember after that last situation that happened when I knew that I was done. I was crying. I went in the car, I went for a drive, and I had to pull over. I sat there quietly. I just started praying. Basically what was in my heart was I'm done trying to do things my way. I'm surrendering everything to you. And at this point, I am just walking in faith. Where you tell me to go, I will step. Like I'm walking blindly in faith. I'm walking where you are telling me, where you're commanding me to go. But just get me and my child out of this situation safely. That was all I was praying for. And this is not I'm not exaggerating this at all. This is, like, very true. I told you it was, like, pouring rain, like, I was bawling my eyes out, like, I pulled over. So I get it together, I look up, and where am I? I'm in a church parking lot. And there was, like, a huge glowing white cross, like, on top of, like, the church building that I could see, like, even with, like, the rain and stuff. And I was like, "There's no like, this is clearly a sign. Believe what you want." Like, but there's no way I could ignore it. For me, that was like a hand on my shoulder, kind of like, "I hear you. I heard you, and you're gonna be okay." That's how I felt. Even leaving that situation, for me, it was so much of myself was just planted in faith and just like I said, walking in faith. So many things that I didn't even know how would work out ended up working out, ended up happening. That's how I felt through the entire transition out. A lot of it was faith, and everyone has their thing. For me, it was my faith, my friends, and my family. Three
That's
big
beautiful.
F's.
And I know you were boohoo crying even more, girl. Like,
Oh,
what? Oh my
100%.
God.
100%.
That's
100%.
beautiful. I
I mean,
love
I have to
that.
call Uber home because at this point, like, like I was a mess. But
Mhm.
I just felt it in my spirit, like, I can do this. At that point, I felt all that strength come back, all that confidence that was shattered, like, all at once, it came back for me to be able to leave. And I did have to rebuild when I got back,
Mhm.
What helped me in the process of leaving? I would have to say it was three things. And it gradually happened because number one, I was in denial that, not in denial, but I refused to see the truth. I was so blinded by love that it took me a while to see the red flags. So I leaned on my support system. I leaned on close people. I'm not going to say specific people, but I leaned on close people, leaned on family. I leaned on a friend that I made in the process of everything. And then later down the road, I leaned on my therapist and I leaned on my handy dandy notebook because I had a, I
I
had
journal a lot too.
yeah, I had to journal a lot of red flags and I kept going back on it because he had, which I don't know if I mentioned before, but he had a vicious cycle of, texting you or messaging you at the wrong time, like, oh, when we were good, we're so good, but when we're bad, we're bad. But then he sends pictures and he sends like good memories to travel down memory lane. But it's like I can't keep going down that vicious cycle. So I started constantly going down that list, my journal, and I'm like, yeah, no.
Crazy like how something so small as journaling something for you to go back and like realize these things. One thing that I would do besides journaling, I would do video diaries as well, like to physically see myself like boohoo crying like this, and it just shows you,
I
reminds me
can't.
really, it does. It
I've
reminds me
tried, but I'm
really
like,
of
I
that.
look so you got snot coming out of your nose.
But
No.
that's the thing, like I don't want to look like that again. I have done that. I literally have done that. I'm like, whatever.
If someone is watching this, right, and they feel touched to reach out to you, what advice would you give them to get through this?
I comfortably will talk to anybody that wants to talk about the situation if they're going through it. When it's someone who's like still in that phase where they're still like attached and they really want to, and I just have to take a breath and take a step back and be like, just pray on it. And I don't really have the best advice. Like I'll be your number one
She's like,
supporter.
let me
You're
figure
really
it.
trying to get out. I got you. Like, let's go. Like, it's gonna be hard. It might be harder before it gets easier, but it will get easier. Like everything will work out. You will be fine. Do not like you really will be fine. Like you have family, you have friends, like you will be fine. Like you have no idea how strong you are until you're in that situation and you gotta pull through. Like seriously, you got this. Like that man is not worth it. I would tell anyone who get a restraining order if you can. That I'm like the number one advocate for restraining orders. They work even in the sense of no contact. Like don't let that person contact you. Like you need to just get your distance from that person so you can heal and get their poison out of your ears and remember who you are without them like feeding negativity in you. Like you need to just heal yourself and it'll get worse before it gets better, but it will get better. Like that's my number one advice for people really trying to get out is just, you know,
Yeah.
find your way.
No, that's perfect advice. That little simple thing right there, it's hard in the beginning, but it does get easier. That's a perfect advice, especially for like, let's say if they do have kids. When your kids are hungry and you don't have it, you figure it out, right? Like,
100%.
you know what I'm saying? So you're gonna figure this out.
I'm gonna say it like how I would have wanted someone to talk to me in the
Mhm.
moment because I didn't have that voice or that person understanding. Like I had a lot of people like, "Oh, you'll be okay. Let this happen, X, Y, and Z," but I didn't have someone who actually understood or someone that was in my situation or my position to fully grasp the concept and like all the reasons why it didn't leave before. It just takes time. But I would say this, it's like you're not alone. We all see you, we've all experienced it. We know what you're going through. And I just want to emphasize you are not alone. You have a voice. Use that voice and seek help. Do not stay in that situation. I get it that it is hard to stay in that situation for many reasons. Most of them is because of, kids. But lean on your support system. Do not be embarrassed about the situation and open up to somebody. You're not alone.
And then it gets to the point where you're like, "Oh my gosh, like I've
The
never
hell was
been."
I thinking? Like, why
Right.
didn't I do this
Like,
sooner?
why? Like, this is, I will say too, this is more so for maybe people who are watching this and it's like a really close friend or a family member that's going through it and they're unsure of how to process it. Please, I promise you, oh, how could this happen? Like, well, if that was me, you do not know what you would do if that was you, if you've never been through it. I'm telling you right now, please don't think that would never, I promise you, I am the most like confident, like, low key unhinged, like, I'm athletic, I'm strong, like, I would have sworn up and down, like, "Man, it's never happened to me," like, like, I promise you it doesn't work like that, and there is no just leave for so many reasons. There is no just leave, like everything's fine. It's not that it really just is just not that simple for so many reasons. At that point, things are just so psychologically layered in the abuse, like you have no idea how impacted the person is. And I would just say if you've never been through it, be respectful and just be if it's someone you love and you're trying to support, don't have that perspective because it really just isn't that. And then the other thing I would say is maybe Naisha, you can maybe speak on this, but it's you want to encourage the person to leave, but you know that if you overdo it, you might push a friend away, a friend that really could need you. That's probably one of the hardest things that I had to forgive myself for was what I put my family and friends through and what they had to watch me go through. And that hurts me more than when I think about what I went through by far is knowing my parents had to watch me go through this. People that I love, my friends, had to still be my friend while I delusionally was trying to still make it work and go through this. And like I remember one time I called Naisha about the situation. I was crying and I was like, I'm all fucked up. And she was like, okay, show me. And I was like, are you sure? Like she's like, and I showed her and it was terrible, but she was there with me through it. And she's like, get through it. We'll get through it. But not once did I feel like the support was, like, judgmental, condescending. It wasn't, like, sugar coated, but it wasn't like I felt like someone was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" "I don't know what I'm doing, girl, I'm trying," So, I think just having that compassion, like, you really can't lose sight of that, and if you feel like you are, maybe just take a step back because that's not what someone in that situation needs to be hearing.
Before I go into the Mythbusters, we're all women here, so men deal with physical abuse too. They do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I also want, like, for women that are abusive and that when there's 2 people that are abusive, it's still not right. Like, you still have to leave. Just because you hit him, because that's where Vanessa was, like, "Well, I punched him." Because I've been in that position, like, I've been shoved and it was me. I provoked it. I hit first. And it's only happened twice, but I provoked it, and that's why I don't feel like I went through domestic violence because in a sense, it was self-defense, and he was trying to stop me, so he grabbed my hands and pushed me. So I provoked it, it was my fault, but it doesn't make it right, and 2 wrongs don't make it right. So if a man is in an abusive relationship where he's like, "Well, I can't hit this woman," and lets the woman hit on him, you still gotta make a move. And if a woman is hitting a man and you guys are just hitting each other, because I know people that do that, where both are just they're beating each other asses, like the woman's hitting him, he's hitting her, you still have to get help and you still have to go. Like 2 wrongs don't make a right. So you can make excuses for somebody else because you did something wrong. But else
No, I'm happy that you mentioned that because, yeah, I don't want just our viewers thinking, "Oh, these are women and they're just talking about men stuff."
one-sided.
Like, no,
Yeah.
men yeah,
Men
no,
deal
it's
with it
definitely
too.
not.
They're just
Definitely, they
they
really
have
do.
more shame and embarrassment behind it because it's like, "I'm letting
Exactly.
this little 5'3" woman beat my ass," like,
Mhm.
or because you don't
Yeah,
wanna hit or
and
yeah.
yeah, and on top of that too, like, I'm also happy that you said because 'cause we're raising boys.
Yeah,
I think well,
absolutely.
Caro, you don't have a boy, right? You just have
I
one.
might as well, like, I have, like I don't even know what she is. She has, like, 10 kids.
So that would be something that we would want, to tell the kids too. Yeah, you don't hit a woman, but if
You
someone's
don't let a
hitting
woman
you,
hit you,
you don't
like, no.
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna pause and bust these myths because a lot of people don't realize they're in an abusive situation, and I'm sure you could resonate with that. Before it actually hits you that you're in it. So the myth is if it's not physical, it's not abuse. So we touched on mental abuse and emotional abuse and how people could use things against you and make you think that you're crazy. So the truth is emotional, verbal and mental abuse can be just as damaging and sometimes it's even more. It's worse. It's invisible. The other myth is leaving once means you're done. The truth is many people leave multiple times before it sticks. Don't beat yourself up about it. It takes more than just one try. And I want to touch on that is when I give advice to people or when people come to me for advice, because I don't just lend advice. I always tell like like Gato said, you don't know until you're in it. You can't say, oh, I'll never do that. I'll never go through that because you don't know until you're in it. And granted, I don't condone somebody staying, but you know when you're done. And sometimes that takes a couple tries. And it takes a couple
Mhm.
failures out of getting out before you're completely done. It takes a couple breakups. It takes a couple phone calls. It takes going back a few times. It takes being a masochist. and letting that person really tell you the truth and hurt you more so that you can get the strength to leave.
One thing I've learned is that leaving is not the end, it's the beginning of healing. The strength it takes to leave is very powerful, but also the strength it takes to rebuild yourself after, that's amazing. And that's why I think it's important that we share resources and also talk about how actually supporting someone who's going through this is one of the things that we should do. Not everyone listening is a survivor. Some of y'all may still be going through it. So I want to talk about how we can show up for them. So these are a few tips. Don't push or judge them. Leaving is scary. You have to remember that. Be patient. It takes time, sometimes multiple tries. Offer help. You can babysit, a safe space, ride, even just like a checking in, and keep showing up. Even if they go back, that consistency does matter. And when you talk to them, use love instead of shame. Instead of saying, why don't you just leave? Here are a few that you can try. I'm worried about you and I'm here when you're ready. You don't deserve this. You're not alone. Whenever you're ready, I'll help however I can. So that way they feel supported and not judged. So that is always like a few, words, because a lot of people don't know what to say. They don't know what to say to
Yeah.
someone. So those, I feel like are a good example.
Another one I'd add is to remind them their worth.
Hmm.
I remember my best friend would always tell me, she's like, "You're gold. Like, you are worth gold. You are so precious." Like, just reminding that person their worth and how, like, incredible they are, and it's like, damn, like, I wish you could see yourself the way I see you, just reminding people that. I do have one of my friends that was going through it. She recently put a post out about her situation, and she's pretty open about it now that she's trying to transition on to the next phase of that. And she just gave shout outs to all the people that were in her corner. One thing she said she tagged me and she's like, thank you to Caroline, who I would call and, about the situation all the time, and told me the same thing a million different ways, but each time with love. That's how she described it, which is true. I only said it from a place of love, but my message was consistently the same. Might have been said a little different, but it's the same. But it's out of love, you know?
Even if you think the person ain't shit and they still don't deserve it. Like, I know people that are not great people.
Hmm.
I know women that are not great women that I can't say, "Oh, you're golden. You're worth so much more," but you still do not deserve for anyone to abuse you and put their hands on you. I know people that I've seen their flaws and their faults, but I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, "Well, you did this wrong, so you deserve this." You need to
Yeah.
step away and work on yourself and figure yourself out and work on you so that you can present yourself to the world as a better person for your children, for your family, whoever it is. And so that you don't feel like these situations are okay because then you know your worth. So to work on the things that you need to work on. I was making a joke, like, because I know people that ain't shit.
No, I
We
know. I know. I get it.
so we're gonna close this episode out. Thank you ladies for showing up and being vulnerable and sharing your stories with us. If you're listening and this hits home, there's a few places you could reach out to. You could reach out to us and we'd be happy to help. There's also the National Domestic Violence Hotline, which is 1-800-799-SAFE, which is 1-800-799-7233, or text START to 88788. There's also local shelters, therapy groups. There's more hotlines that you can look online for locally. And of course, if you don't know where to start, you can reach out to me, Vanessa, Ellie, Caroline. We're all open to helping anyone that's in this situation. We might not have all the answers, but open to listening, and we'll help connect you with someone. If you need help, we're willing to do the research and help you out where you need. You don't have to do this alone.
Right.
You are not alone.
Yeah,
You're not
not at all.
alone. That's probably the number one thing I would say. You are not alone. You are not crazy. You are just not alone. Like, reach out. The help will be there.
Again, I want to thank you guys for being here, of course, and showing up and being so brave and opening up about your stories. I really do appreciate it because I'm not going to lie, there was a few other women that I wanted to come on and they weren't ready. And I respect that. And I understand and I get it. So to anyone that's listening right now, like how we said, you are worthy of love that does not hurt you. You are strong enough to leave and you're strong enough to heal. Remember, survival is not the end goal. Thriving is. And we all here, whether physical, mental, what emotional, we are proof that you can heal and it's possible that you are able to move on. And Naisha and I always end our episodes on a positive. We always do 3 things that we're grateful for. So I'll start off. I am grateful for my kids being extremely healthy. I am thankful for you guys that you guys came on and were able to make this episode possible. And I am grateful for a new day. to continue to do better things. So those are the things I'm grateful for.
I am grateful that you girls are here with us because there's a lot of women that didn't make it through to the other side of domestic violence. So I'm grateful that you both were strong enough to choose yourself and choose your kids and get out of those situations. I am grateful that I've never experienced that. And I'm sorry that you had to. And I am grateful that we can find humor in our trauma and in our pain and you can leave it on the other side.
So I'm grateful for having stability. That's something that I never had during the situation. I always felt so unstable, uncertain, and I'm so grateful, mainly to my parents, my family, my friends, for helping me just gain a certain stability back in my life. And that is just unchanging. Like I finally have that back again. I'm grateful for my daughter. She is the light of my life. I love her so much. I wouldn't change anything that I've been through. You know, it all got me here to this point, and you know, her being my baby, I know who I would choose in every lifetime to be mine, and I'm grateful for my voice. I'm able to use the things I've been through to help others. There's nothing more healing than that, in my opinion. I am working towards having some type of platform where I can have a safe space where people can talk. That is one thing I actually didn't mention earlier. It just slipped my mind, but I do remember joining a local support group, and it was just a bunch of women, and we would just meet once a week privately and just talk and support each other, and it was led by someone who did have some training in, you know, with domestic violence, etcetera, but it was just so uplifting, and I could just be unfiltered and open, and other people going through it. It was strangers that some of them have become lifelong friends to me. We still keep in touch, and we still encourage each other, we still update each other. So I guess that my third thing that I'm grateful for is my voice, which I plan to use in any capacity that I can to help others.
I'm grateful for my support system. Without them, I'm pretty sure like I would be super down bad. My therapist, my family, that's more than three. I'm gonna have to say my friends, I'm sorry. My baby who was healthy, he made it out at like 8 months. He's healthy now, he's 2 years old. And this podcast for giving me my voice. So yeah, thank you for giving me my voice because this was it for me. I never really have spoken about this out loud.
Of
I
course.
don't think I have either. I have no problem speaking about it, but just this is the
Like
first
not
time.
publicly at least.
Yeah, I kept it off social media. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure a lot of people had no clue what was going on and still don't know. So this is like the first time, and I'm no shame, just didn't
Yeah.
really have an opportunity to talk about it. So
It's my
thank
first
you for
time
having
too.
us.
Of
Yeah.
course. It's my first time. I've had conversations, easy conversation about now because I'm, out of it and I'm stronger from it. But this will probably be a shock to a few people. Like, Vani, I did not know you went through that, with to people that are not close to me with
Yeah.
that. If you guys want to watch any of our other videos, I am going to link the playlist here. We will see you guys soon. So, bye, guys. Okay.
Bye.